Chapter 358. At the same time, Luo Xinning walked out of Chu Lao's place with satisfaction. Chu Lao was very happy about the destruction of the Luo family and had promised to change the enrollment date to the next day. Luo Qingtong, just watch me enter Tianyu Branch School. The daughter of the first wife of the Luo family used to be so high and mighty. Luo Xinning was repeatedly warned that everything in the Luo family would belong to Luo Qingtong. She and Luo Qingtong were worlds apart. But now, the Luo family had been destroyed, and Luo Qingtong had probably been defiled by the people she had arranged, right? With the Mang Tiger Guards as the scapegoat, the bandits would not dare to betray her. By then, Luo Qingtong would have to spend the rest of her life in a low-class brothel. He wondered if she would be so angry that she would vomit blood when she woke up in a strange place and heard that he had been admitted to the Tianyu Branch Academy. Humph. They all say that my life is not as good as yours. Luo Qingtong, tomorrow I will prove that no matter how good your life is, it is not as good as mine. Luo Xinning said as she broke the flower in her hand and went back to her room. At the same time, in the Luo family, the Mang Tiger Guards who came to invade were all killed. Except for Fiji, the rest died without a complete body. Some of them wanted to beg for mercy, but Luo Qingtong did not accept it. She did not lack powerful people. She would not accept anyone who wanted to destroy the Luo family even if they knelt down. The group of people was completely wiped out, and their corpses were all thrown to feed the dogs. At the same time, a group of sneaky people was found in Luo Qingtong's courtyard. They had all sneaked into the Luo family when the array was broken. These people were the bandits that Luo Xinning found. However, at this moment, these bandits, who had done all kinds of evil, almost fainted when they saw the powerful people around Luo Qingtong. Luo Xinning asked them to play with such a person. Wasn't this pushing them into the fire pit? The group of people was furious. They quickly told Luo Xinning what she wanted them to do. As he explained, he kowtowed and said that he and the others had been deceived. The group of martial king realm experts and battle slaves were furious. Why was this Luo Xinning so disgusting? The smile on Luo Qingtong's lips was very deep. Oh. Luo Xinning asked you to do this. She raised her hand and knocked on the armrest. Have you prepared the place and the people? Yes. The bandits answered fearfully, not knowing what Luo Qingtong wanted to do. Yes. Then prepare for it. In a few days, I will send someone to you. Just do as Luo Xinning told you. Luo Qingtong smiled coldly. How could he let Luo Xianning's good intentions go to waste? She had to enjoy these painstakingly arranged things for herself. But before that, there was one more thing she had to do. Qingtongs, all of you are. Put on all the equipment. Also, Luo Qingtong raised her hand and threw the 2 elixirs that she had refined to the martial king realm experts and the battle slaves. Take these and go to the Fei family. Exterminate her family. Luo Qingtong looked up at the bright moon that was as big as a wheel in the sky. At this moment, the bright and clear moonlight seemed to be covered with a layer of misty blood under her gaze. Chapter 359. In the spiritual boat, a group of martial king realm and battle slaves took the elixirs given by Luo Qingtong. These elixirs were originally given by Luo Qingtong to the Luo family's iron soldiers who had their cultivation abolished. The enlightenment elixir increased the power of understanding. The energy-increasing elixir increased the strength. These 2 elixirs were very good for their recovery. It was the same for the people of Evil Valley. After taking the energy-increasing elixir, those who were at the critical point of their cultivation suddenly broke through the original level. Then they took the enlightenment elixir and broke through again. Everyone's strength broke through 1 or 2 small levels. Some talented ones even broke through 3 or 3 levels. Their overall strength had more than doubled. In addition, Luo Qingtong equipped them with weapons and armor. This group of people was not weaker than the direct descendants of the big families in the Tianyu Empire. Among them, the one who benefited the most was the expert at the peak of the martial king realm. Luo Qingtong gave him 2 elixirs with elixir spirit that she had refined before. It helped him break through to the martial royal realm at once. Of course, it was also because his strength had reached the peak and he had touched the threshold of the martial royal realm. He was half a step into the martial royal realm. Luo Qingtong gently pushed him from behind, and he stepped over it directly. Master. Feeling that his strength had broken through the martial king realm and reached the martial royal realm, the expert at the peak of the martial king realm was very surprised. He could not hide his excitement as he looked at Luo Qingtong. He did not know how she did it. According to common sense, even if he had touched the threshold of the martial royal realm, it would take him at least several years to fully comprehend the realm of the martial royal realm. But now he had stepped over it so easily. He felt like he was dreaming. The others were even more shocked and aghast. They knew that their master was powerful, but they didn't know that she was so powerful. Master, this is... The expert who had just reached the martial royal realm looked at the jade bottle in his hand in a trance and asked incredulously. Elixir. Luo Qingtong's answer was concise, but it scared the group of subordinates. Elixir. The group of people looked at the jade bottles in their hands as if they were dreaming. These were elixir. The legendary elixir that was extremely precious and could only be refined by an alchemist. It was said that only one alchemist among countless pharmacists could be found. It was extremely difficult to find one. Alchemists were in the center of the imperial court of the sacred dynasties and royal family. In other places, they had never even seen a shadow of a person. They had only heard of legends. But now, everyone lowered their heads to look at the jade bottles in their hands, and a wave of dizziness washed over them. They had a bottle in their hands. Over 100 bottles of elixir was pills. They had never dared to elixir before. Master, the group stuttered and didn't know what to say. Medicinal pills, this kind of legendary existence, not to mention seeing them, they rarely even heard of them. Now, each of them had actually eaten a bottle. God. They didn't God, Lord, they God Emperor. N. Luo Qingtong turned to look at them. What? No, nothing. Looking at her indifferent expression, the group suddenly felt that they were making a fuss over nothing. But these were elixir. Not cabbages that could be found on the roadside. Master, isn't your expression a little too calm? Chapter 360. We're here. Luo Qingtong turned to look at the huge city in front of her. In this dark night, the huge imperial city of the Tianyu Empire was like a beast crawling in the dark. At this moment, the city was completely silent. Silence reigned everywhere. Luo Qingtong's gaze swept across the most conspicuous palace in the distance, and her lips curled into a smile silently. I didn't expect to be back so soon. The lesson I taught you last time wasn't enough. Empress of Tianyu, Yuan Shui, are you ready to receive the surprise I have for you? Luo Qingtong's smile grew more bloodthirsty as she spoke. Turn northwest to the Fei residence. At this moment, Patriarch Fei and his sons were still awake and discussing matters in the Fei residence. Nothing must go wrong with the hidden funds collected from various places. Send someone to check them and hand them over to the imperial family in 2 days. Otherwise, we won't be able to bear the consequences if the emperor blames us, Patriarch Fei said sternly. The hidden funds were collected from various places in the Tianyu Empire on the orders of the imperial family. The imperial family's treasury had been stolen and the imperial family had become paupers. This batch of hidden funds had been collected by the imperial family to deal with the emergency. However, this matter would damage the imperial family's reputation and couldn't be discussed openly. Therefore, the Fei family was the best choice. After all, they were from the Empress's maternal family. Yes. Father, don't worry. The hidden funds have been counted and we can report to the Emperor tomorrow, the Fei family's sons replied. Family head Fei replied with some dissatisfaction. Has always been in charge of this matter and he knows best how many there are. If I knew this batch of hidden funds would arrive so quickly, I would never have agreed to let him destroy the Luo family at this time. It's just a marquee residence from a low-level country. Just send a group of people to destroy it. Why bother Don't they know if they have the guts to do so? Patriarch Fei was very dissatisfied. In his opinion, the Empress was too indecisive. In this aspect, she was not as good as Shui. If it was him, since he was unhappy with this marriage, he would take advantage of the fact that the fifth prince was not around to wipe out the entire Luo clan. Even if the fifth prince was dissatisfied, the matter had already been done. Could it be that he could still go against his own mother? Yet, he had to let the fifth prince do as he pleased, causing the imperial family to lose all face. As the Fei family head was speaking, he didn't know that the Luo family, which he had been talking about, had already annihilated Fiji and the others. At this moment, Luo Qingtong was already above the Fei family. As one of the top clans in the Tianyu Empire, the Fei clan occupied a large area in the Tianyu imperial city. Naturally, the target was very obvious. Luo Qingtong found the location of the Fei family without much effort. Looking down from the sky, Luo Qingtong could see that the Fei family was densely packed with all sorts of guards and sentries. In the center of the mansion, there was an array set up. Although it was very simple in Luo Qingtong's eyes, compared to other aristocratic families, this defense was considered decent. Unfortunately, tonight, all of this would turn into ashes. Wait here first. Luo Qingtong instructed and jumped off the spirit ship. Earth-level spirit ships did not have the ability to conceal themselves. But this was nothing to Luo Qingtong. Chapter 361. Swoosh. Luo Qingtong landed in the vicinity of the Fei family. With a light tap of her foot, she dashed into the Fei family. Luo Qingtong's eye technique could see that the Fei family's defense was full of flaws. Luo Qingtong did not even need to hide from the patrolling guards. She followed the predetermined route and walked through the blind spots. Even if there was a group of guards diagonally opposite her, they would not be able to see her. Swoosh. Swoosh. Luo Qingtong dashed through the Fei family and easily destroyed more than half of the array in the mansion. At the same time, the colorless and odorless medicine started to spread from every key point in the mansion. 15 minutes later. Plop. 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 Countless patrolling guards suddenly felt dizzy and fell to the ground. What? The guard who saw his comrade fall to the ground in front of him did not even have time to shout before he fell to the ground as well. Countless dull sounds could be heard. In just an instant, the patrolling guards fell to the ground. Fei family's main courtyard. Patriarch Fei instructed his sons and was about to let them go back to rest. At this moment, he suddenly heard a slight noise from outside. In an instant, his expression changed. Who is it? He opened the door and rushed out. His sons' faces changed slightly as well. Almost instantly, they followed behind him and rushed out. Swoosh. Swoosh. Just as the Fei family head and his sons rushed out, streaks of dazzling blade lights were heard from the courtyard outside. The Fei family's guards, who had lost their ability to resist and were lying on the ground, were being killed one by one. Luo Qingtong, dressed in red, stood in the middle of the courtyard of the main courtyard, looking enchanting. She was surrounded by the people from the Evil Valley, who were wearing armor and were well equipped with powerful cultivation. They were silently killing every life as if they were the servants of the Grim Reaper. All of this happened in silence. When Patriarch Fei and his sons rushed out, more than half of the guards in the courtyard had been killed. Fortunately, there were still many guards who were resting and were not affected. At this moment, all of them rushed out and fought with the people from the evil valley. How dare you! When Patriarch Fei stepped out and saw the scene in the courtyard, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He scolded sternly, "Where did this scoundrel come from? How dare you cause trouble in my Fei family? You must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts." Before he could finish speaking, the surroundings of the Fei family were abruptly set ablaze with a whoosh. Bear heart and leopard guts. Amidst the flames, the Rakshasa mask covering Luo Qingtong's face looked indescribably ferocious and terrifying. However, her chin was indescribably delicate and small, warm and smooth. Chapter 362. At this moment, they had already recognized that Luo Qingtong was the evil Dr. Gui Tong. But so what? The other party had clearly come with ill intentions and had even killed Fiji. Since they had already become enemies, the other party's background was no longer important. What was important was that the other party must die here today. Furthermore, she must die cleanly so that the Black Field would not have any evidence to use against her. As he thought of this, the Fei family's eldest son leaped and charged towards Luo Qingtong. "You all support father, I'll kill her first." The Fei family's eldest son's expression was cold. He could tell that the evil Dr. Gui Tong was the leader of these people. Once he killed this woman, the others would naturally collapse. Most importantly, this woman's identity was too sensitive. The evil Dr. Gui Tong, based on the other party's identity, it would only take a few minutes for them to make things difficult for the Fei family. Thinking of the endless troubles in the future, the Fei family's eldest son's gaze towards Luo Qingtong was filled with murderous intent. Since the other party had come, she could forget about leaving. Swoosh! The Fei family's eldest son charged towards Luo Qingtong. He was a low-level martial king and his movements were extremely swift and fierce. However, Luo Qingtong only raised her head and glanced at him. She held the long sword in her hand horizontally and used the life blade to absorb the attack and the death blade to reap the harvest. With a swoosh, the heaven-battling art swept across. The Fei family's eldest son did not even have the chance to make a second move before Luo Qingtong's sword slashed open his chi gate and blood spurted out. Eldest brother. Seeing this scene, the Fei family's other sons instantly widened their eyes and cried out in alarm. They looked at Luo Qingtong with shock. The Fei family's eldest son was not weak, but he had died so easily. The other party was clearly only a martial general. They looked again and were absolutely certain of this point. Could it be that the other party was still hiding her true strength? Or was the evil Dr. Gui Tong really that evil? The Fei family's sons looked at Luo Qingtong and felt a chill in their hearts. They suddenly remembered a rumor they had heard in the past. He said that the Qing family had come to capture one of the evil doctor's subordinates. The evil doctor chased them all the way to the place where the Qing family had stopped and killed them all. Among them, one of them had just reached the martial emperor realm. At that time, the evil doctor was only a martial master. Many people thought that this was just a rumor. They thought so too. But from the looks of it now, it might be true. The other party was too strange. Boss. Seeing the eldest son of the Fei family die in front of him, Patriarch Fei's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. "Bitch, I want you dead. I want you to die a miserable death." As he spoke, he pounced towards Luo Qingtong. Boom! The aura around him exploded. Wherever the wind blew, even his sleeves became as hard as steel. Martial Emperor stage. Chi waves surged into the sky, surging like a tiger, and a picture of a roaring tiger appeared in the air. Howling Tiger Fist. A martial king realm cultivator could release energy, while a martial emperor realm cultivator's energy could take form. Bang! The Fei family head punched towards Luo Qingtong. Master! Before Luo Qingtong could move, the martial emperor stage powerhouse who had been watching them had already blocked in front of her. Boom! The two of them collided, and in an instant, the martial royal realm powerhouse who had just reached martial royal realm was sent flying. Pfft! He fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. He shouted to Luo Qingtong, "Master, be careful. He's hiding his true strength." Chapter 363. Boom! Master Fei sent the man who had just reached the martial royal realm flying. Then, he dashed toward Luo Qingtong like a vulture. When Luo Qingtong saw the violent power that was exuding from Master Fei's body, a crimson light flashed across her eyes. In the next second, her figure abruptly leaped into the air. Boom! Luo Qingtong held the heart of the thousand-year soul-luring wood in her left hand. At that moment, streaks of soul energy were drawn into the heart of the tree, filling it completely. As the name suggested, the thousand-year soul-luring wood could draw souls and absorb soul energy. When Luo Qingtong found the thousand-year soul-luring wood, it had already gained intelligence and knew how to absorb the soul energy for its own use. At that moment, the soul energy had turned into streaks of power in the heart of the thousand-year soul-luring wood. These streaks of power flowed into Luo Qingtong's body through Luo Qingtong's hand. How many people from the Fei family had died today? Probably not many. At that moment, these streaks of power were all channeled into Luo Qingtong's body through the thousand-year soul-luring wood. Sky battling skill. The young girl's voice was clear and cold. It was filled with a strong sense of desolation, like the collision of metal and stone. Against the Rakshasa ghost mask on her face, she looked like a soul reaper from hell. Rumble. There was a flash of light in the sky. In the next second, a sword radiance shot out like a dragon or a phoenix. It was filled with a strong killing intent as it flew toward Master Fei. "Father, be careful." Seeing this scene, the four sons of the Fei family had immediately cried out. Bang! The moment they shouted, Luo Qingtong's sword radiance hit Master Fei's body. Bang! The latter was sent flying, just like how the martial royal realm expert had been sent flying. He crashed into the room with great force. In an instant, the huge building in the main courtyard was smashed into pieces. Master! The Heaven Evil Valley's people were overjoyed. However, right at this moment, boom! The entire collapsed main courtyard building was suddenly shaken away, sending bricks and debris flying everywhere. Patriarch Fei's figure suddenly emerged from the ruins. Bitch! Let's see what other tricks you have. Family head Fei stood on top of the rubble, and other than the fact that his body was stained with too much mud, he was not injured at all. The robe on his body was torn apart, revealing a light green inner armor that was flickering with rays of light. The defense of a martial emperor. Master, be careful. The inner armor on his body is a treasure. On the Evil Valley's side, someone recognized the function of the inner armor on Master Fei's body and immediately shouted. The defense of a martial emperor. Luo Qingtong looked at the light green inner armor that the Fei family head was wearing, and the blood-red light in her eyes turned cold. Chapter 364. Master. They saw Master Fei rushing towards Luo Qingtong like a madman. The men from Evil Valley were about to rush forward but were stopped by Luo Qingtong. I said, all of you leave. The defense of a martial emperor meant that those who were not of the martial emperor realm would not be able to break through it. There was no point for the men from Evil Valley to stay, so they might as well leave. Most of the men from the Fei family had been killed, so there was no need for them to stay. Master. The men from Evil Valley refused to leave. Master Fei was a middle-level martial royal. Although they knew that Master was very powerful, Master's current strength was only at the great martial general realm. Although they did not see the attack clearly, they were sure that their master had used an external force to launch the attack. If family head Fei did not have that inner armor, it would have been fine. Based on the attack that master had just unleashed, it would have definitely killed him. However, since he was wearing the martial emperor realm inner armor, what should their master do? It was too dangerous to leave her here. Master, let's leave together. Cut the crap. My orders are to be obeyed and not questioned. Are you going to disobey my orders? Luo Qingtong looked at them coldly with her empty eyes. Master, the men gritted their teeth. At this moment, the injured man who had just reached the martial royal realm stepped forward. Let's go. If we stay here, we will only cause trouble for our master. As he spoke, he took a deep breath and looked at Luo Qingtong, saying, Master, you must be careful. As he said this, he rushed up to the huge spirit ship with a whoosh. When the others heard what he said, they gritted their teeth and left. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The group of people rushed into the huge spirit ship and quickly left this place. At the same time, Luo Qingtong was facing Master Fei, who was rushing towards her like a madman. Boom! The blood-red light in her eyes flickered, and her body swept up like a ghost as she charged towards Master Fei. Rumble! The two of them fought each other. Luo Qingtong and the Fei family head were evenly matched with the power of the 1,000-year-old soul guiding tree's core and her eye technique. However, Gala. The life and death yin-yang sword cut into the inner armor of family head Fei, producing an ear-piercing sound. I can't cut it. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. The defense of a martial emperor was indeed powerful. The absorption power of the life blade, combined with the power of the 1,000-year-old soul guiding wood, was unable to cut open the inner armor on the opponent's body. In such a situation, even if she could see through the flaws in her opponent's attack, she wouldn't be able to kill him. However, was he going to let Patriarch Fei off just like that? Not to mention that Luo Qingtong was unwilling, the other party would not let her go at this time. Bitch, there's no other way, right? Since the beginning, Patriarch Fei had been staring at Luo Qingtong with his bloodshot eyes. He didn't care about the departure of the men from the heavenly evil valley. When he saw that Luo Qingtong's sword had no effect on his body, he sneered and raised his hand to release a killing blow. Roaring Flame Fist. This blow created countless flames in the air. Combined with the blazing fire around the Fei family, the power of this blow increased tremendously in an instant. As the flames rose with the wind, the shadow of a ferocious tiger suddenly appeared from the flames. It leaped out and bit viciously at Luo Qingtong. Patriarch Fei's eyes were bloodshot and he seemed to have gone mad. He followed closely behind the shadow of the ferocious tiger and grabbed at Luo Qingtong with his fingers like hooks. Chapter 365. A bloody light flashed in Luo Qingtong's eyes. At this moment, Bah! Die, my ass! Little Pig instantly jumped out of Luo Qingtong's sleeve. Grandpa Pig won't show his power. Do you think I don't exist? As he spoke, a consciousness fluctuation mixed with something was transmitted into Luo Qingtong's mind. Quick, master, do as I say. Let's torture him together. After receiving this information, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. She narrowed her eyes and glanced at Little Pig. In the next second, her figure flew up. In the sky filled with flames, black and red contrasted against each other. Luo Qingtong's figure was even more beautiful than the flames. Her clothes fluttered in the contrast of this blood-red color. She raised her hand and pointed at the space between her eyebrows. The ancient seal, the king of the wilderness, I, in the name of the owner of the blood contract between heaven and earth, remove the seal. Swoosh! As Luo Qingtong pointed her finger, an upside-down hexagram symbol suddenly appeared on her forehead. Countless rays of light circulated. The energy in Luo Qingtong's body was quickly absorbed, including the energy converted by the 1,000-year soul guiding wood. Boom! As the hexagram symbol appeared on Luo Qingtong's forehead, Little Pig's body was also suddenly covered by a huge hexagram symbol. The dazzling light directly covered Little Pig's small pink body, leaving only a ball of blazing light. At the same time, the wind and clouds surged between heaven and earth. In the dark night sky, a group of dark clouds thicker than the night sky seemed to gather, blocking the bright moonlight in the sky. Voila! Amidst the surging clouds, a huge vortex appeared. After that, a ferocious roar of a beast that seemed to have come from the primordial times suddenly resounded. In the next second, an incomparably huge claw suddenly stretched out from the vortex. Boom! When the claw stretched out, the surrounding space was instantly shattered. A terrifying pressure enveloped the surroundings. Bang! Patriarch Fei's body, which was rushing towards Luo Qingtong, seemed to be frozen by something. No! Impossible! The blood contract between heaven and earth, the reversal of the laws of heaven and earth, and this seal, this is. Ah! He watched in horror as the huge claw slammed down. In an instant, he and the light green inner armor on his body were smashed into a pile of meat paste. The ground was unharmed. The huge claw retracted. At the same time. Rumble. In an instant, more than half of the Fei family's residence collapsed. Swoosh. Luo Qingtong's body fell to the ground. All the energy in her body had been sucked dry, and so had the energy from the 1,000-year-old soul guiding wood in her hand. If not for a sudden surge of energy from the life and death dual polarity sword supporting her at the critical moment, she would have died. She might not even have the strength to stand. That pig only said that this could temporarily remove its seal. It didn't say that it would have to pay such a huge price to remove the seal. She was almost sucked dry. And this was only a claw. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. She grabbed Little Pig, who had fallen limply in midair, and stuffed it into her sleeve. Then, she glanced at the ground. An account book had fallen to the ground. What's this? Luo Qingtong picked it up and flipped through it. Chapter 366. It was an account book that the Tianyu imperial family had been secretly collecting to solve the imperial family's emergency. She didn't expect the emperor of Tianyu to place such importance on the Fei family. But it made sense. They were in-laws. Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a mocking smile. But now, these things were going to be hers. Luo Qingtong put away the account book. Then, she tiptoed to the Fei family storehouse. She took out a large sum of hidden funds and the Fei family's many years of storage and put them all into her trash ring before leaving. After she left, the entire Tianyu imperial city was in an uproar. Although Little Pig's true form only appeared for an instant, the boundless pressure still woke everyone up from their stupor. But by the time they arrived, Luo Qingtong had already left. Looking at the Fei family's collapsed main residence, the experts in Tianyu Imperial City looked at each other in shock. The Fei family was the Empress' maternal family, a century-old family that was one of the pillars of the Tianyu Empire. But it was destroyed in a single night. And in such a short time, they didn't even have a chance to ask for help. The group of people widened their eyes, unable to believe the reality in front of them. In the Tianyu Imperial Palace, the Empress almost fainted when she heard the news. No, this is impossible. How could my Fei family be in such a state? You must be lying to me. I don't believe it. The Empress couldn't connect the destruction of her family to her. The Fei family was a century-old family with great strength and strict defense. Her father and brothers were not weak either. Especially her father. She had even specially asked for a martial emperor-level inner armor treasure for him just to ensure his safety. How could he be destroyed just like that? And in the imperial city of the Tianyu Empire. No. I don't believe it. She staggered away from the palace maids who were trying to help her and ran out. Along the way, she bumped into Yuan Shue, who had rushed over after receiving the news. Mother! Mother! Yuan Shue cried and threw herself into Empress Tianyu's arms. Grandfather and uncle are dead. How could this be? Mother! Yuan Shue's cries shook the heavens. Empress Tianyu felt dizzy. Dead? Is he really dead? The Fei family had been exterminated? Is this for real? This was actually real. Ah! Empress Tianyu let out a heart-wrenching scream. Her vision went black and she fainted on the ground. Because of Yuan Shue's action of throwing herself into her arms, her entire body fell backwards. In an instant, a hole appeared on the back of his head, and blood seeped out. Mother! Yuan Shue screamed in fright. Quick! Hurry and help Imperial Mother up. Imperial Physician Xian. Summon the Imperial Physician. Her screams spread far and wide. In an instant, the Sky Universe Imperial Palace was thrown into chaos. At this time, Luo Qingtong had already caught up with the group of people from Evil Valley who had left early. They were waiting for Luo Qingtong outside the Imperial City. They had already decided that if Luo Qingtong really couldn't come out safely, they would return to the Luo family. After that, they would return to the Luo family and take good care of the old master. After that, they would cultivate with all their might. In the future, when they broke through to the martial emperor realm, they would come again to kill that old dog of the Fei family and avenge their master. However, they still believed that Luo Qingtong would be able to escape. Now that they saw Luo Qingtong return safely, they were overjoyed. Master! A group of people gathered around. Luo Qingtong nodded. Let's go, the Fei family has been exterminated. We should return to the Luo family. Chapter 367. Yes. Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong with an indescribable passion. The Fei family had been destroyed. Could it be that master didn't escape, but instead killed the Fei family head? No one dared to think about it. She was wearing a martial emperor-level defensive inner armor. Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong with shock and excitement. After answering in unison, they immediately piloted the spirit boat and flew in the direction of Dongli Nation. At this moment, the sky had already begun to brighten. Luo Qingtong walked to the side of the spirit ship and began to adjust her breathing. This battle with the Fei family head had given her a lot of insight and inspiration. The greatest benefit of fighting someone of a higher level was that she could gain a deeper understanding of a higher level of power. Luo Qingtong's mind flashed with the gains she had gained from the battle with the Fei family head. As she circulated the energy in her body, the aura in her body continued to boil. Master, the spirit ship soon arrived at Windgaze City. The sky had just brightened. Everyone was about to call out to Luo Qingtong when they realized that the aura in her body was constantly changing. They immediately covered their voices. Master was breaking through. Everyone looked at the change in Luo Qingtong's aura and immediately looked at the expert who had just reached the martial emperor realm. When Luo Qingtong was not in charge, he was the one with the most authority. Let's go to the 9 Magi Mountain first. The expert who had just reached the martial emperor realm made a prompt decision. Luo Qingtong's breakthrough was a big deal. A martial artist should not be disturbed when they were breaking through. They stopped in the sky above Windgaze City. Although the spirit ship was engraved with a concealment array that prevented ordinary people from seeing it, what if a powerful expert happened to pass by and discovered the spirit ship? Nothing could go wrong with Master's breakthrough. The group immediately followed his instructions and flew towards the 9 Magi Mountain. At the same time, they sent a group of people to guard the Luo family to prevent any accidents. Before Master broke through and woke up, no one was allowed to make any moves. Everything was to follow master's orders. While Luo Qingtong was breaking through on the spirit ship, Windgaze City, where the people from Tianyu branch were staying, Luo Xinning sat in front of the dressing table in a bright red dress. Her face was covered with a light-colored veil, revealing only her eyes. Looking at her half-hidden appearance in the mirror, she was still quite graceful and gentle. However, Luo Xinning did not seem to be going for the gentle and graceful route today. She used the golden powder to draw the outline of her eyes and cheeks. Then, she applied a light red flying tail to draw the lines at the corners of her eyes long and slanted. She looked very imposing. Finally, he stuck a crimson lotus petal on his forehead. Ha! She chuckled at the mirror. She was very satisfied with her outfit today. Luo Qingtong, it's a pity that you can't see it. This is the appearance of the future genius of the Luo family. The direct bloodline of the Luo family has been destroyed. From now on, I, Luo Xinning, will be the direct bloodline of the Luo family. The future glory of the Luo clan will be inherited by me. I will let you know how I entered Tianyu Branch Academy in glory, and how I rebuilt the second branch of the Luo clan. Humph. Concubine born. Expelled from the Luo clan. What you said is nothing. Luo Xinning laughed coldly. In the next second, she stood up and left with a smug look on her face. Luo Xinning held two things tightly in her arms. Both of them were taken from Luo Qingtong. One was a recommendation letter for admission to Tianyu Branch Academy. The other was the Luo clan's heirloom armor. Of course, she would keep the heirloom armor. As for the recommendation letter for admission, Luo Xinning chuckled and flicked her fingertips. She would give it to whoever hit the Luo family when they were down the most. Do you know what this means? This meant that the Lanhua family was definitely on evil Dr. Ghost Eye's side. You idiot. Why don't you think about how your Fey family offended her? Recently, a few of my imperial granduncles were injured and other alchemists couldn't heal them. Only evil Dr. Ghost Eye can do it. I was going to send people to the Blackfields branch city to discuss with the bloody arena. I wanted them to ask evil Dr. Ghost Eye to refine the elixir. Emperor Tianyu gritted his teeth as he said this. Chapter 369. He flicked his sleeves and left. The Tianyu Empress collapsed on the bed. She never thought that the one who wiped out the Fei clan would be evil Dr. Gui Tong. Not to mention his strength, just his shocking medical skills were enough to make people not dare to offend him. How could her clan offend such a person? And to the point that he didn't care about anything and directly wiped out the entire Fei clan. Father and the others weren't so short-sighted people. The Tianyu Empress was no longer hysterical, and so was the arrogance on her face. She covered her face and curled up on the bed, sobbing. The imperial granduncles that Emperor Tianyu mentioned were the martial emperors that the Tianyu imperial family relied on the most. If the other party's request for medicine was really rejected because their Fei family had offended evil Dr. Gui Tong, they would definitely be blamed. Although they wouldn't do anything to her for Yuan Ma's sake. But she wouldn't be as carefree as before. Heavens, why did it become like this? What's going on? The Tianyu Empress felt an indescribable pain in her heart. She couldn't understand it. Her life wasn't supposed to be like this. She had a son that she couldn't be more proud of. He was the future hope of the Tianyu imperial family. She, as the Empress, should be living a carefree life with limitless glory. And she was indeed like this before. But why did things suddenly become like this? The Fei clan was wiped out, and because of that, they made an enemy of evil Dr. Gui Tong. What exactly was going on? While the Tianyu Empress was crying, Yuan Shua was also at a loss. Father meant that they couldn't take revenge for the Fei clan. They didn't even have a chance to take revenge after the Fei clan was wiped out. And they even asked him not to take his anger out on the imperial family. Yunshua's worldview was impacted. She always thought that her father and mother were omnipotent. But now, it was clear that she was wrong. Yunshua's heart was in a mess. But soon, she thought of something else and hurriedly said to the Tianyu Empress, "Mother, don't cry. The Fei clan still has hope. Did you forget? Little uncle. He was sent by you. He's not at the Fei clan, so he's definitely fine." The Tianyu Empress was stunned. She quickly wiped her tears. "Yes. Fiji. And him. My Fei family's direct bloodline has not been exterminated." At this point, the Empress of Tianyu finally had some hope. As long as Fiji was still around, the Fei family would not be completely annihilated. There was still hope for them to rise again. However, their thoughts were completely shattered by the timid words of the maid beside them. "Your Highness, Your Highness. King Xiao's corpse is also in the Fei clan's mansion. It has been confirmed that he is dead." "What did you say?" The joy that had just appeared on the Empress' face was instantly extinguished by the servant girl's words. "Fiji is also in the Fei family mansion. How was this possible? I clearly sent him to exterminate the Luo family. How could he appear in the Fei family's mansion? This is impossible." Empress Tianyu couldn't help but scream. Yuan Shui was also shocked. At this moment, Emperor Tianyu, who had just left in a rage, thought of Yuan Mo. He turned around and walked back. Hearing these words, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He rushed in and slapped the Tianyu Empress. Chapter 370. Sending Fiji to exterminate the Luo clan. Needless to say, Fiji must have offended evil Dr. Ghost Eye along the way. In the end, the Fei clan was exterminated and might even implicate Tianyu's imperial family. "I told you not to provoke the Luo clan. Don't provoke them. Did you turn a deaf ear to my words? Otherwise, how could the Fei clan have offended evil Dr. Ghost Eye? How could they have been exterminated? How could his secret funds have disappeared without a trace?" Emperor Tianyu's chest heaved with anger. He pointed at the Empress and Yuan Shui with a furious expression. "Pass down my orders. From today onwards, strip the Empress and the 7th Princess of their authority. Apart from enjoying the glory of the Empress and the 7th Princess, they're not allowed to interfere in anything. They're not allowed to mobilize a single soldier. Stupid women are the root of a family's downfall. I've finally seen it for myself. And you." He turned to the petrified Yuan Shui and shouted, "Don't think I don't know that you're the one who instigated your mother. What did I tell you before? It seems you don't put me in your eyes at all. Guards." Emperor Tianyu's expression was fierce. "Drag the 7th princess away and flog her 20 times. Ever since the Fei clan was exterminated, Emperor Tianyu had been suppressing his anger. Now, it all exploded. He pointed a finger at Yuan Shui and ordered angrily, "Beat her up." "Ah! Mother! Save me! Mother!" Yuan Shui dodged with all her might, not wanting to be caught by the palace servants. However, the servants serving Emperor Tianyu were no ordinary palace maids. They quickly caught her and pressed her to the ground. "Ah!" Yuan Shui's shrill cry rang out. "Shua-er!" Seeing Yuan Shui being flogged, Empress Tianyu struggled to get up from the bed. But as soon as she moved, her head spun and she almost fainted again. She could only lie on the bed and watch Yuan Shui being flogged. At the same time, in the spirit vessel, Luo Qingtong's aura continued to rise. The spirit chi around her had almost condensed into a whirlpool and was continuously flowing into her body. Stage 1 Great Martial General, Stage 2. It only slowed down when it reached the 6th phase. Everyone in the heavenly evil valley thought that Luo Qingtong had finished her breakthrough. Unexpectedly, her body trembled slightly. After breaking through the 6th-stage barrier, her aura continued to rise slowly. Paw! Luo Qingtong's aura stabilized after breaking through to stage 7. She opened her eyes. Master! Everyone hurried over to pay their respects. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Master. Yes. Luo Qingtong nodded her head. She was very happy that she had advanced to the 7th level of the Great Martial General realm. Fighting above one's level was indeed a great way to improve one's strength. She felt the power in her body and smiled slowly. Not bad. The remaining 2 stages weren't that difficult for her to improve. After all, she had reached the 3rd stage, but it would take a little more time. Luo Qingtong was thinking about the Luo family, so she didn't choose to continue the breakthrough. At this moment, a message came in from outside. Master, the entrance examination of the Tianyu Branch Academy has been held in advance. It's today. An expert from the heavenly evil valley received the message and hurriedly reported after glancing at it. Oh. Luo Qingtong just got up and smiled at the news. That's good. It seemed that Luo Xinning couldn't wait. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes turned cold. Seeing this incomparably swift and fierce attack, the surrounding spectators all let out a cry of surprise. The strength of a rank 4 martial general is indeed unique. No one in the entire eastern border country can compare to her. I'm afraid Luo Xinning will take first place in this year's recruitment examination. Yes. She's only 14 years old. No one can compare to her strength at this age. Almost all the disciples of the major families have tried, but no one was her match. They were all sent flying with a few kicks. Chapter 372. There was an endless stream of discussion all around. Luo Xinning stood on the stage, looking proud. At this moment, she was dressed in red and looked very dazzling. Coupled with her performance in the arena, she was even more eye-catching. At this moment, Luo Xinning was the center of attention. Luo Qingtong, did you see that? I did it. The daughter of a concubine from the 2nd branch of the Luo family, who was once under your spotlight, is now stepping on your head. The daughter of the first wife of the Luo family is now moaning under some disgusting man. Without the title of the future wife of the 5th prince, what do you have left? I will make sure you don't even have the right to look up to me in the future. I will crush all the shadows in front of you with my own hands. Teacher. After the competition, Luo Xianning bowed to the 3 instructors on the spectator stand. The 3 of them nodded. Especially Elder Chu, who was smiling from ear to ear. Luo Xianning had won a lot of face for him. Her anger towards Luo Xianning for causing her to lose face in front of so many people had almost dissipated. Good. Not bad. He nodded. The other 2 teachers nodded as well. Luo Xinning's ability and potential were indeed the strongest in the Dongli kingdom. If nothing went wrong, she would be the winner of the assessment. There were many benefits to being the winner. In the future, the winner of each kingdom could even compete for the genius ranking in the Tianyu Branch Academy. If Luo Xinning could be on the genius ranking in the future, it would be a great honor for them. Therefore, they were very pleased with Luo Xinning. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge? One of the teachers looked around and asked. Below the arena, there was complete silence, and no one responded. Okay. The teacher asked 3 times. Seeing that no one answered, he nodded and said, Now, let's announce the name list. Before he could finish, Luo Xinning's voice was heard. Teacher, I have something to report. As she spoke, she glanced at the place where the Chu family was, and the smile in her eyes was cold. Chu Wenhao tried to plot against me in the previous battle. I don't think such a person deserves to enter the Tianyu Branch Academy. Teachers, please consider his name carefully, Luo Xinning. As soon as she said that, everyone in the Chu family was instantly enraged. You're slandering me. Chu Wenhao looked at her angrily. He did not do that at all. Luo Xinning was slandering him. Looking at his eyes, Luo Xinning sneered in her heart. That was right. She was deliberately slandering Chu Wenhao. But so what? Can anyone prove it? With such a crime on his back, Chu Wenhao could forget about entering Tianyu Branch Academy. Even if there was a quota, it would be eliminated. This was the result of the Chu family trying to help the Luo family. All the friends of the Luo family were her enemies. They could only blame the stupidity of the Chu family for choosing the wrong path. Luo Xinning smiled coldly. Sure enough, Chu Wenhao's name wasn't on the following list. The other party was one of the most powerful people below Luo Xinning. It was impossible for him to not be on the list. The biggest possibility was that the instructors had removed Chu Wenhao's name from the list because of Luo Xinning's words. The Chu family was furious, but they could not do anything to Luo Xinning. She was already the top student in the examination. If nothing went wrong, she would be even more impressive after entering the Tianyu Branch Academy. The Chu family could not compare at all. Even if they had to suffer this loss, they could only swallow it. Just as the Chu family was furious, Luo Xinning's name was called. Luo Xinning, the examination of Dongli Nation, top student. Chapter 373. At this moment, a figure suddenly rushed in from outside the crowd and landed on the arena with a thud. Sorry, I'm late. Luo Qingtong raised her eyes slightly. Her clear and bright eyes looked at the crowd below the stage with a smile. She had just gone back to visit her grandfather and made some recovery medicine for herself. She almost missed the time. But now, it seemed just right. Looking at Luo Xinning's shocked expression, Luo Qingtong smiled. What's wrong, my good sister, don't you recognize me? Luo Qingtong sighed at Luo Xinning's shamelessness. No matter what she said, Luo Xinning was determined to use the Luo surname and would not change it. Luo Xinning wondered what was wrong with her to want to replace the Luo family. But since this was the case, it was fine. She would use her identity as the Luo family sister to end things for the original owner. After all, Luo Xinning was heartless and ungrateful, but the original owner had always treated her as her own sister. Since Luo Xinning was so unwilling to admit defeat to the original owner, then she would use her identity to trample her into the mud. She would repay the favor she received from her at the Nine Magi Mountain. You! Luo Qingtong, are you all right? And your eyes, are they healed? Luo Xinning looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. She could not believe what was happening. The Meng Hui guards had attacked the Luo family, and the Luo family would be wiped out. Even if Luo Qingtong could escape, the bandits he had arranged would not let her escape unscathed. What was going on? Not only Luo Xinning, but everyone below the arena was shocked by Luo Qingtong's sudden appearance. Especially Prince Dongli, who almost jumped up from his seat. How was this possible? Luo Qingtong was unharmed. He did not believe that Luo Xinning would let Luo Qingtong go. She knew about the Meng Hui guards' attack. How could she not take the opportunity to scheme against Luo Qingtong? How could she be safe and sound? And if she was safe, then the Luo family, Dongli King's heart trembled as he thought about it. He almost couldn't control his panic and almost fell back from his seat. Instead, it was the personal attendant beside him who hurriedly supported him when he saw this, allowing him to barely stabilize his body. Send the imperial guards to the Luo clan to investigate what's going on. King Dongli roared in his heart, but he pretended to be calm on the surface. He secretly sent a message to his servant, who hurriedly ran out. Luo Qingtong glanced at the guard who left and then looked at the pale face of Dongli King. She smiled faintly and didn't say anything. There would be a surprise from King Dongli later, but now was not the time. She shifted her gaze back to Luo Xinning. That's right, sister. You've always been proud of your sisterly love. What? You're so surprised to see that my eyes have recovered. Don't you want my eyes to recover? Luo Qingtong looked at Luo Xinning with a smile. That beautiful smile, in Luo Xinning's eyes, was like a vengeful ghost. She couldn't help but take a step back. She looked at Luo Qingtong with unspeakable shock and panic. If Luo Qingtong was here, she could say that she had escaped by luck. But what about her eyes? Yes, I also feel that being a martial master all the time is a little too low. So, sister, are you satisfied now? Luo Qingtong raised her strength to the martial general realm. She didn't want to reveal her strength at the martial general realm for the time being. Otherwise, it would be too conspicuous and people would easily associate it with the immortal sect relics. Moreover, it was more interesting to play cat and mouse, wasn't it? Luo Xinning didn't need to use her full strength. Luo Xinning, you're the #1 genius of the Eastern Fence Academy and the top student of the academy. I want you. Luo Xinning just wanted to provoke her to fight with her. Chapter 375. Luo Qingtong, you. Luo Xinning was even more shocked than before. She saw Luo Qingtong's strength soar from the martial mentor realm to the martial general realm in a flash. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she wouldn't have believed it. You've been hiding your strength all this time. She couldn't help but scream. In fact, Luo Qingtong was still hiding her strength. Yes. I learned it from you. Luo Qingtong crossed her arms and looked at Luo Xinning, who was in disbelief. Didn't you teach me? When we were in the Luo family, you were only a level 6 martial mentor. After going to the Tianyu Empire for a month, you came back as a level 4 martial general. I'm not as good as you. Luo Qingtong smiled faintly. You. Luo Xinning felt as if she was slapped by Luo Qingtong's words. Luo Qingtong's words were nothing more than that her current strength was all enhanced by medicine. Although this was the truth, when she compared her own aura with Luo Qingtong's aura, Luo Xinning felt very embarrassed. That's right. Luo Qingtong raised her aura to the same level as Luo Xinning's. To be honest, she didn't even need to use her full strength to defeat Luo Xinning. But in order not to make Luo Xinning feel too desperate, and to hide her strength, Luo Qingtong felt that it was better to play slowly. Otherwise, the fun would be gone. How boring would that be? Luo Qingtong looked at Luo Xinning with a cold smile. This woman used to play with the original owner of this body. She treated other people's sincerity as trash. Today, she would let her have a taste of this feeling. Luo Xinning's aura was compared to Luo Qingtong's aura. It was immediately obvious who was stronger. Her aura was much weaker than Luo Qingtong's. Luo Xinning's confidence in the arena had all turned into a slap in the face. Luo Xinning felt that Luo Qingtong was no match for her. However, the more arrogant she had just taunted Luo Qingtong, the more embarrassed she felt. Luo Xinning, who had always thought that she was better than Luo Qingtong, could not stand being put in front of others and being suppressed by Luo Qingtong. The degree of solidification of the aura is nothing. She gritted her teeth. Luo Qingtong, you said I brought back this strength from the Tianyu Empire, but you've only just reached the martial master realm when you came back from the 9 Magi Mountain. Where did your strength come from? In the end, he still relied on drugs. At most, it's just that you've consumed more than me, and your aura is denser than mine. Speaking of this, Luo Xinning's eyes turned red with jealousy. When she was in the Tianyu Empire, she had to endure all kinds of insults from the seventh princess, Yuan Shui. In the end, it was because they had to deal with the Luo family and Luo Qingtong that she had the opportunity to improve her strength. However, Luo Qingtong did nothing and the Luo family had plenty of drugs for her to use. Both of them used drugs to improve their strength. What right did Luo Qingtong have to criticize her? Luo Xinning just had a better life. Luo Qingtong, even if your aura is stronger than mine, I will use facts to show you what real strength is. Luo Xinning said as she attacked Luo Qingtong. She was vicious. When she was in the Tianyu Empire, she knew that her strength was not as solid as her peers because of drugs. Therefore, she studied a lot of life and death fighting skills. She did not believe that Luo Qingtong could defeat her. Boom! Luo Xinning's move was extremely vicious. Chapter 376. Bang! Luo Qingtong dodged the attack and grabbed Luo Xinning's punch. She pinched it and pressed it down. Then, she bent her knee and hit it with a bang. Ah! Luo Xinning screamed in pain. Her right arm was broken into two. White bones pierced out from the wound. She continued to wave her other hand towards Luo Qingtong. Bang! The two of them exchanged blows in the air. Luo Qingtong's power broke Luo Xinning's defense and sent her flying with a kick. Bang! Luo Xinning's robe swelled up. The power of Luo Qingtong's kick almost came out from her back. Bang, bang, bang. The two of them exchanged blows in the air. Luo Qingtong was completely suppressing Luo Xinning. Luo Qingtong did not even use her eye technique. She defeated Luo Xinning with her fighting skills. The audience below the stage was already dumbfounded. Luo Xinning was so arrogant just now, and now she was in such a sorry state. Luo Qingtong was so powerful. Just now, when her cultivation suddenly rose to the martial general realm, everyone was shocked. Now they were even more shocked. The top genius of Eastern Fence Academy and the top student of the assessment are definitely going to change today. Someone said as he looked at the three mentors on the stand. The other two mentors were still fine. They were very interested in Luo Qingtong's appearance. In the recruitment test, as long as one met the requirements, they could enter the arena to compete. The mentors would decide the number of participants based on the battle. Luo Qingtong's strength had met the requirements. The rest was up to her and Luo Xinning to fight for the top position. Obviously, Luo Xinning was not as good as her. Compared to the two of them, Elder Chu's face was extremely ugly. Luo Qingtong was fine. Not only that, she even beat Luo Xinning. Seeing Luo Xinning being beaten by Luo Qingtong in the arena, Elder Chu's face felt like it was being slapped again and again. Luo Xianning was such a disappointment. She was beaten up like this. Didn't she say that Luo Qingtong's talent was not as good as hers? Now it seemed that she was the one who was inferior. Elder Chu was so angry that his face turned green. The Chus were shocked at first, but then they were happy. Father. Luo Qingtong is fine. The eldest Chu looked at Luo Qingtong who was beating Luo Xinning in the arena. If she was fine, did that mean that the Luo family was fine too? They also saw the king hurriedly send a servant away. He must have gone to check on the situation of the Luo family. That's possible. Elder Chu's heart was excited. It seems that something has happened. You should send someone back to take a look. If the Luo family is really fine, then immediately mobilize the Chu family's private army and join forces with the Luo family. Don't give the royal family another chance. When old Master Chu said that, his expression turned cold. King Donglei had gone too far. Why would Luo Xinning target Chu Wenhao? It was because the Chus wanted to help the Luo family. But if the royal family did not leak the information, how would Luo Xinning know about it? Obviously, King Dongli had decided to eliminate the Chus after the Luo family. That was why he did not allow Wen Hao to be admitted to Tianyu branch school. Since that was the case, why was he still holding on to the friendship? The royal family had never treated them as pillars. Bang! 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 Chapter 377. She was also wearing red. When Luo Qingtong wore it, she looked domineering and evil. It was like an extremely beautiful poppy flower that had bloomed to the extreme. However, the fragrance that was emitted from within was an irresistible poison. When people wore red, it was fire. When Luo Qingtong wore red, it was poison. It was poison that made people willing to be seduced, attracted and intoxicated. Boom! She kicked Luo Xinning from the air onto the arena. Luo Qingtong bent her knees and jumped down from the air like a butterfly. Bang! Luo Xinning rolled on the ground at the critical moment. Luo Qingtong smashed the ground that she was lying on into pieces. In the next second, she lifted her leg and swept the refined iron planks of the arena away. They flew towards Luo Xinning, who was rolling on the ground. Too weak. Luo Qingtong approached Luo Xinning amidst the flying iron planks. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Luo Xinning, whose hair was disheveled like a ghost. She whispered in her ear, "Luo Xinning, is this how you want to show me what real strength is?" Luo Qingtong's words deeply provoked Luo Xinning. From the beginning until now, she had been beaten by Luo Qingtong. Luo Xinning could have finished her in one move, but she did not. Luo Qingtong was playing with her. She wanted to tell everyone that no matter how hard Luo Xinning tried, she could only be suppressed by her. She wanted to tell everyone that her ambition, desire, and endurance were nothing in front of Luo Xinning. Luo Xinning had never been so clear about this before. She hated Luo Qingtong. Why was she better than her in every aspect when they were both daughters of the Luo family? Was she better than her? Luo Xinning deliberately got close to her and gained her trust. Teasing her like a dog, playing with her in the palm of his hand. She was like an idiot as she offered all her good things to him. She had been fooled by him like a fool. She had always obeyed him, but ever since the incident at the Nine Magi Mountain, everything had changed. Luo Qingtong. I should have killed you long ago. Luo Xinning gritted her teeth and said slowly. She should not have listened to the seventh princess at the Nine Magi Mountain and kept Luo Qingtong alive to torture. She should have just killed her. That way, today's events would not have happened. Boom! After Luo Xianning finished speaking, the aura on her body changed instantly. Boom! The aura around her surged, and in an instant, a violent and terrifying power blasted out from her hand. Shwa! Luo Qingtong jumped up and dodged the force. She flipped backward and appeared a few meters away from Luo Xinning. Heirloom armor. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes and looked at the armor that appeared on Luo Xinning's body. Luo Xinning sacrificed an endless amount of life force to the heirloom armor to activate the power of the armor. Luo Qingtong, I want you dead. Luo Xinning pounced on Luo Qingtong crazily. Bam! Luo Qingtong raised her hand to block the attack. With a swoosh, her feet brushed against the ground and she retreated a few meters. Bam! She tilted her head and dodged Luo Xinning's kick. Boom! The railings behind Luo Qingtong broke into pieces. Chapter 378. Luo Qingtong, die. Luo Xinning's face was ferocious as she charged towards Luo Xinning again. Luo Qingtong licked her lips as she saw Luo Xinning charging towards her. She could feel a wound on her cheek caused by the wood shavings. The color of blood in her eyes suddenly intensified. The color in her eyes became fainter and fainter. In the next second, her eyes turned completely red like blood. The intense and shocking color looked like the blood that seeped out from the boundless hell. Luo Qingtong's beautiful face suddenly became extremely demonic and devilish, and she was filled with demonic allure. Luo Xinning was so close to her that she was shocked by the blood in her eyes. Luo Qingtong, her eyes, idiot. Luo Xinning spat out coldly. The way Luo Qingtong looked at Luo Xinning was cold and evil. She raised her hand and slammed it heavily on her heirloom armor. You want to kill me with something that my parents left for me? Luo Xinning, tell me. How stupid are you? Luo Qingtong said. In fact, she had already activated her eye technique and saw through the weakness of the armor. Bam! After saying this, Luo Qingtong's palm slammed heavily on the life gate of the armor heirloom. Boom! Luo Xinning's power penetrated the armor and sent her flying. No matter how powerful the treasure was, it would be useless if its weakness was seen through by someone who was not powerful enough to control it. Boom! Luo Xinning's body landed heavily on the arena. Before she could struggle to get up, Luo Qingtong's figure suddenly flashed and appeared in front of her like a ghost. She lifted her foot and stepped on her back harshly. Bam! Luo Xianning was just about to get up, but she was instantly stomped back down by the foot. Crack! Luo Xinning's spine was broken by Luo Qingtong's stomp. Not only that, but even the floor of the arena trembled violently, and countless cracks appeared on it. Ah! Luo Xinning screamed in agony. She was in so much pain that her body twitched. Luo Xinning, I remember that I said that you are not worthy of using the Luo family's items. It seems that you did not understand. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she lifted her hand and removed Luo Xinning's heirloom armor. Luo Xinning could not resist at all. She could only lie on the ground like a dead dog. Bam! After removing the armor, Luo Qingtong lifted her leg and crushed the bones in Luo Xinning's legs. Seeing her scream, Luo Qingtong's eyes turned cold. Luo Xinning, I am returning this kick to you on behalf of the original me. Back then, I used the Luo family's resources to nourish your body and help you cultivate. I did not expect to raise a wolf. Luo Qingtong's eyes were no longer bloodshot. However, the coldness in her eyes was enough to freeze someone to death. On the Nine Magi Mountain, you led your men to attack me while I was breaking through. You crippled my cultivation, blinded my eyes, and threw me to a bunch of trash. I will return all of these to you. Chapter 379. Ah! This time, Luo Xinning screamed even louder than the previous 2 times. Her meridians were destroyed and her elixir field was shattered. This kind of pain was not something that could be compared to ordinary pain. Luo Xinning's years of cultivation were all removed by Luo Qingtong's actions. Luo Xinning could not help but cry out in pain. She felt as if her body and soul had been hit hard at the same time. And this was not the end. Bang! Luo Qingtong kicked her into the air. Luo Xinning flew up like a pile of mud and hit the railing of the arena. Then, she bounced back. All the bones in her body were broken in an instant. At this point in time, Luo Xinning could not even make a sound. I'm giving you this kick on behalf of my grandfather. Luo Qingtong walked in front of Luo Xinning and looked at her coldly. Luo Xinning, without my grandfather, there would be no Luo family. Your family enjoyed the convenience and glory of the Luo family, but you poisoned him and forced him to disperse his cultivation. I will settle all these debts with you one by one. As she spoke, the blood in her eyes flashed uncontrollably. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Luo Qingtong bent down and whispered in Luo Xinning's ear. You colluded with outsiders to attack the Luo family and almost caused my grandfather to die. Luo Xingning, you can't make up for all these crimes even if you die 10,000 times. Luckily, you have found a home for yourself. Don't worry, the bandits you found last night are waiting for you at the Luo family. When the time comes, you can enjoy whatever you want. I won't interfere. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she grabbed Luo Xinning's chin and stuffed a pill that she had refined into Luo Xinning's mouth without waiting for her to speak. This pill could allow Luo Xinning to maintain her fair and smooth skin under all kinds of torture. However, the price was that her entire body was in pain as if her skin was being peeled off. This kind of pain was enough to make people faint countless times. Didn't Luo Xinning want to scratch Luo Qingtong's face and sell her to the lowest level brothel to serve the most disgusting customers? Luo Qingtong fulfilled her wish and let her enjoy the arrangement herself. Not only that, it also allowed her to possess jade-like skin and appearance, allowing her to attract even more customers. She would just treat it as a show of their deep sisterly love. Ah! The moment the pill entered her mouth, an intense pain engulfed her. Luo Xinning could not take it anymore. She screamed and fainted. Take her away. Luo Qingtong kicked Luo Xinning, who was like a pile of mud, out of the arena. In an instant, a battle slave expert hiding in the dark appeared and caught him. Stop! At this moment, Elder Chu and the others finally regained their senses. They did not expect Luo Qingtong to be so fast. She actually crippled Luo Xinning in the blink of an eye. When Luo Xinning used her family heirloom armor, they thought that Luo Qingtong was going to be in trouble. Unexpectedly, the one who was defeated in the end was Luo Xinning. And Luo Qingtong's methods were so vicious. Looking at Luo Xinning's deformed appearance, many people felt a chill down their spines. Among them, Elder Chu felt it the most. He and Luo Qingtong had a feud to begin with. Chapter 380. Bam! He slammed the table and stood up. Luo Qingtong, you've gone too far. This is a place for the entrance examination, not a place for your life and death battle. How could you be so heavy-handed during the assessment? You're really vicious and unbearable. Hurry up and give yourself up. As he spoke, his eyes flashed fiercely, and he charged towards Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong's first-place qualification was not something that Elder Chu could arbitrarily remove. However, Elder Chu was unwilling to let someone who had a grudge against him enter Tianyu Branch School. Luo Qingtong had been so heavy-handed towards Luo Xinning. Who knew if she held a grudge against him? This was a good opportunity to cripple her in the name of being heavy-handed. By then, he could say that it was an accident. Who could do anything about it? As he thought about it, Elder Chu's expression became even more vicious. His attack towards Luo Qingtong was also extremely vicious. Elder Chu. Seeing his actions, the other two tutors were shocked. They wanted to stop him but failed to do so. They immediately chased after him. Below the arena, Old Master Chu was so angry that his lungs were about to explode when he saw this. Shameless! As a tutor, how dare you attack a student who is participating in the assessment? As he spoke, he suddenly stood up from his seat and rushed into the arena in a flash. He stood in front of Luo Qingtong. Luo girl, don't be afraid. I'll stop him. As he spoke, he charged towards Elder Chu, Grandpa Chu. Luo Qingtong shouted. Seeing that Old Master Chu had already rushed up, she immediately waved at the novice martial emperor who was preparing to attack in the dark. The latter understood and went back into hiding. Grandpa Chu, you can do it. Seeing that Old Master Chu was charging towards Elder Chu, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed. She instantly saw through Elder Chu's weaknesses and the flaws in his attack. She glanced at Old Master Chu again. Following that, two silent auras instantly struck out. With a swoosh, Luo Qingtong's two blasts of energy hit Old Master Chu from behind, but they didn't injure him. One of the two forces struck Old Master Chu's elbow while the other struck his wrist. The two forces supported and suppressed each other. Old Master Chu felt his elbow lift for no apparent reason as his wrist suddenly pressed down. Boom! The attack in his hand flew out. It was much stronger than the attacks he had unleashed in the past. Not only that, bang! His attack collided with Old Chu's attack, and surprisingly, the other party's energy chi was broken apart. Before Old Master Chu could react, Elder Chu was instantly sent flying by the remaining force of the strike. He slammed into the railing of the arena with a boom. The whole place was silent. Even the Chu family members, who were sweating profusely from anxiety, were stunned. Everyone looked at Old Master Chu, who had sent Elder Chu flying, with indescribable shock. Oh my God! Were they dreaming? Old Master Chu, who was a peak martial lord, sent Elder Chu, who was a novice soul king, flying. Was this some sort of fantasy story? The sky wasn't even dark yet. The eldest Chu pinched his thigh so hard that he cried out in pain. Only then did he confirm that he wasn't dreaming. Oh my God! Since when did Father become so powerful? He looked at Old Master Chu in disbelief. The latter was still in a daze. That move just now had given him a fright. He had never used such a powerful move before. Since he wasn't a student of the academy and had even stripped the previous champion, he had all the more reason to make a move. What's wrong with ruining Luo Qingtong's chance to enter the Tianyu branch? Thinking of this, Elder Chu looked at Luo Qingtong gloomily. Elder Chu, you've gone too far. The other two instructors disagreed. Elder Chu was obviously using his position to avenge a personal grudge. The two instructors had heard about the incident between Luo Qingtong and Luo Xining in the Windgaze city. It was not Luo Qingtong's fault at all. Chapter 382. Humph. You don't have to say anything more. Luo Qingtong was so ruthless in the entrance examination that she crippled a student who had already been selected. We can't let this go. Elder Chu refused to back down. He looked at Luo Qingtong coldly and said, Luo Qingtong, do you admit your mistake or not? Elder Chu, I don't understand. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and looked at him. It was Luo Xining who tried to kill me first. As her teacher, shouldn't you be the one to apologize to me on her behalf? Otherwise, why should I apologize? Elder Chu flew into a rage the moment he heard Luo Qingtong's words. How dare you? You have no respect for your elders and are full of nonsense. Luo Qingtong, since you won't admit your mistake today, I'll force you to admit your mistake. He glanced at the two mentors beside him and shouted angrily, Holy Pen Touch. Spirit, show yourself. Elder Chu. The other two mentors were shocked and furious at his words. How dare you touch the spirit of the holy object? They didn't expect Elder Chu to use the spirit of the pen touch just to deal with Luo Qingtong. This was the spirit of the holy pen touch. The holy pen touch was the treasure of the Saint Academy. It was said that anyone below the Saint realm would die with a touch of it. Even a Saint realm cultivator would be seriously injured by a touch of it. The mentors who went out to recruit students were all given a spirit of the holy pen touch to protect them. Although it wasn't as powerful as the real holy pen touch, it was enough to deal with ordinary high-level cultivators. But now, Elder Chu used it just for a student who had won the first place in the entrance examination. He actually used the spirit of the holy pen touch to deal with her. He had gone too far. Boom! With Elder Chu's shout, a huge spirit of the pen touch appeared in front of everyone. As soon as the spirit of the pen touch appeared, everyone felt the pressure of the spiritual aura around them change. A boundless and terrifying pressure was emitted from the spirit of the pen touch. Whoosh! When the pen spirit body was activated, Yi Qianming, who was soaking in the medicinal liquid in the black field, suddenly opened his eyes. Wang! The Shifang dragon ring on his left ring finger gave off a black light. Saint Realm Aura, is that woman in danger? In an instant, Yi Qianming's heart moved. Following the connection between the 10 Directions Dragon Ring and the 9 Nether Phoenix Ring, a wisp of his mind instantly appeared in the consciousness space of the 9 Nether Phoenix Ring and merged with the divided soul. In the outside world, everyone was instantly suppressed on the spot by the sudden appearance of the Holy Brush Spirit, and they were unable to move at all. Among them were the 2 instructors from the Branch Academy. Old Chu. You're too much. Release the power of the brush spirit. A mentor reprimanded angrily. Humph. I am here to discipline the students on behalf of the academy. You have no right to interfere with me. The 2 mentors were enough to stop Old Chu from attacking Luo Qingtong. He had already planned this out, which was why he released the pen spirit body to suppress the 2 mentors. Humph. Let's see who can stop me from attacking Luo Qingtong now. Everyone was bound on the spot, including Luo Qingtong. However, she could feel that the life and death sword and the 9-story exquisite pagoda in her body were not affected. Obviously, the level of these 2 treasures was much higher than the holy brush spirit body. Just as the bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed and she was about to use her mind to summon the life and death sword. Chapter 383. A figure suddenly rushed out and appeared in front of Luo Qingtong. Yi Qianming. Looking at the figure that appeared, Luo Qingtong was a little dumbfounded, and the thought of using the life and death sword suddenly trembled. Oh my God! Why did this man suddenly appear here? But soon, she found that this figure was very illusory and not real. Was it the divided soul in the 9 Phoenix Ring? Luo Qingtong quickly reacted. By the time she figured out the identity of this figure, Old Chu had already rushed up. Luo Qingtong. Kneel down. He shouted with a ferocious face. He did not take Yi Qianming, who suddenly appeared beside Luo Qingtong, seriously. The power of the Holy Pen Spirit was incomparable. Even if it was just a spirit, it was not comparable to ordinary experts. These mentors who went out had the Holy Pen Spirit. Even if they encountered experts of the Saint Realm, they could delay them for a while and escape. No matter what the identity of this man who suddenly appeared beside Luo Qingtong was, it was impossible for him to compete with the Holy Pen Spirit. Therefore, Old Chu's voice sounded particularly arrogant and domineering. Kneel down. Hearing his words, Yi Qianming, who had just broken through the consciousness space of the 9 Phoenix Ring, was instantly angry. His woman would not kneel down even in heaven and earth. Now, such a clown dared to make her kneel down. An indescribable anger rose in his heart. Yi Qianming did not care about the surrounding environment and directly launched an attack with a bang. In an instant, with a loud bang, Old Chu was blasted out like a cannonball. The power of the Holy Pen Spirit that enveloped him was shattered. Not only that, his whole body seemed to have been hit hard. All the bones in his body were broken and he collapsed into a ball. With a bang, he hit the palace building outside the square and instantly vomited blood and fainted. Old Chu. Old Chu was sent flying and the body of the Holy Pen Spirit was broken. In an instant, everyone broke free from the mighty and terrible pressure. After all, the 2 mentors were from the same school as Elder Chu, so they couldn't ignore him. They immediately rushed over. Most of the people just looked at the man beside Luo Qingtong in shock. They didn't know who he was, but he easily sent Old Chu flying with one move and made him vomit blood and faint. Not only did Elder Chu have the spirit of the holy object of the Sacred Academy, but he was also a soul king. He was actually unable to fight back against this man. Just as the crowd was guessing Yi Qianqian's identity, he turned around and looked coldly at the girl beside him. Luo Qingtong. His voice was dangerous. This woman had previously told him that her name was Luo Qi. That was the only name she would admit to. Now, what was up with this Luo Qingtong? Yi Qianxian was instantly enraged. He looked coldly at Luo Qingtong, waiting to see how she would explain. Cough. When Yi Qianxian turned around, Luo Qingtong knew that she was in trouble. She looked at the man's cold eyes. Although she knew that this was not his real body, but just a wisp of his soul, she still couldn't help but feel guilty. What should I do? Once this man's soul returned to his real body, he would immediately know her name. It would be too easy to find out her identity. At that time, everything would be exposed. Chapter 384. There was a way. Luo Qingtong's eyes lit up. Ahem. Thank you for saving me, Senior. She coughed lightly. Senior. Yi Qianxian had been waiting for Luo Qingtong to say that. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Before he could say anything, Luo Qingtong's hand suddenly sucked him in. In an instant, Yi Qianren's figure disappeared before everyone's eyes. Ha! Where was that senior? Everyone was surprised. There were so many of them, but none of them saw how he disappeared. This level of strength was simply too frightening. Luo girl, do you know that powerhouse? Old Master Chu couldn't help but ask. No. Luo Qingtong smiled and shook her head. If I knew such a powerhouse, the Luo family wouldn't have been bullied. That was true. As soon as she said that, everyone nodded in agreement. That powerhouse's strength was too shocking. They didn't see him move, but Elder Chu was sent flying. Elder Chu had used the spirit of the holy relic. Although no one knew what the spirit of the holy relic was, they knew that it must be very powerful judging from the majestic power and the angry words of the two mentors. Elder Chu was sent flying so easily, which showed how powerful that powerhouse was. If the Luo family knew such a powerhouse, they wouldn't have been bullied by the imperial family of Tianyu. That powerhouse could easily make the imperial family of Tianyu piss their pants and kneel down to beg for mercy. They wouldn't have been able to be so arrogant. Everyone felt relieved as they thought about it. It seems that Elder Chu was unlucky. Of all the things he used, he just had to use the spirit of the holy relic. Look at what happened. He angered a powerhouse passing by and got beaten up. He deserved it. That's right. Shameless. He used the spirit of the holy relic to deal with a student. I don't believe that he didn't have any evil intentions toward Luo Qingtong. He made it sound so dignified. What a scum. Everyone was full of disdain. The two mentors felt very awkward. As a tutor, Elder Chu actually used the spirit of the holy object to attack a student who had already been admitted to the academy. Moreover, this was a student who was qualified to be the champion. This was really shameless. However, he was already unconscious from his injuries, so they couldn't say anything. They could only bring him back to the Tianyu branch as quickly as possible. As for this matter, they would report it to the academy and let the academy deal with it. Student Luo, this is your first place qualification token. Please report to the school in 1 month. Before the two of them left, they handed over Luo Qingtong's first place qualification token. Thank you, mentors. Luo Qingtong took the token and nodded with a smile. Congratulations, Luo girl. Seeing the first place qualification token in Luo Qingtong's hands, Old Master Chu felt an indescribable envy. Thinking of his grandson who had been eliminated, his face darkened for a moment, but then he forced himself to cheer up and congratulate Luo Qingtong. Grandpa Chu, you must be joking. What congratulations? It should be the same. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she handed over the recommendation letter she got from Luo Xining and smiled. The Chu family missed a place because of the Luo family. I, Luo Qingtong, am not an ungrateful person. Grandpa Chu, please accept this recommendation letter. Luo Qingtong had already heard about Chu Wenhao from slave Zhan. Chapter 385. This. Thank you, Luo family's girl. Old Master Chu looked at the recommendation letter and was pleasantly surprised. Luo Qingtong smiled and placed the letter in Old Master Chu's hands. Don't mention it. Chu Wenhao deserves it. If not for helping the Luo family, the Chu family would not have been hated by Luo Xining and missed the quota. With Chu Wenhao's strength, he could definitely enter the school. That's not the case. Old Master Chu said seriously, I helped the Luo family because I was worried that we would be intimately interdependent. I have my own selfish reasons for doing so. It's not the Luo family's fault that Wenhao was eliminated. I must thank you for your kindness. Luo Qingtong did not argue with him. She just smiled and nodded. After handing the letter to him, she turned and left. She could still hear the Chu family's excited voices from afar. Let's go back. Luo Qingtong said to the people from the evil valley who were hiding in the dark. She glanced at the place where King Dongli was sitting. When she saw that there was no one there, her eyes flashed with a dark red light. She would settle the score with the Dongli royal family later. Luo Qingtong. Once they returned to the Luo family, Luo Qingtong closed the door and released something from her sleeve. Instantly, an angry roar was heard. Yi Qianqian's partial soul was trapped in the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding wood together with his consciousness. He had turned into a fist-sized doll and was looking at her angrily. She originally had a very angry expression, but because Yi Qianren's image at this moment was too cute. The Lord, who had suddenly turned into a cute little doll, looked cute even when he was angry. Let go of me. Yi Qianxian was indescribably angry. Not only did this woman lie to him, she even trapped his partial soul in the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding wood. What did she want? Call me Luo Qi. Luo Qingtong interrupted him and walked over to pick him up. Yi Qianqian's soul fragment was imprisoned in the heart of the thousand-year soul guiding tree. He could not exert any strength and could only let Luo Qingtong carry him. You're clearly called Luo Qingtong, yet you still want to deceive this sovereign. He angrily glared at Luo Qingtong. This woman still wanted to lie to him at this time. If the cold and threatening supremacy was in his original form at this time, his glare would naturally be incomparably majestic. However, at this moment, he was only equivalent to a bolster doll. His short legs and arms, and his small and delicate face, coupled with his heaven-like handsome face, looked extremely cute. Luo Qingtong looked at him and felt her heart itch. She did not expect that after the thousand-year soul guiding would absorb Yi Qianqian's partial soul fragment, it would shrink him into a little doll. She could not resist the temptation and leaned over to kiss him on the cheek. That name is for others to call, she said with a smile. Yi Qianxian was so cute when he was angry. Luo Qingtong was not wrong. She had given this name in her previous life, and it was for others to call her. Only the name Luo Qi was the one that her heart truly belonged to. Yi Qianxian was stunned when he heard this. Suddenly, the corners of his lips rose uncontrollably. So this woman meant that only this sovereign could call her by the name Luo Qi. Thinking of this, most of the anger in his heart instantly dissipated. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.